Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and today I wanted to talk slash ramble on about a couple models I recently have been goofing around with from RN Estudio. You may have seen these guys. These guys and gals got painted recently. I've done a fair amount of RN Estudio stuff since the inception of this channel, actually going to before I ever started the channel, when they were only doing, cast models and stuff, which they still offer. One of the things I've always liked about RN Studio is they have very much had their finger on the pulse of various properties and styles that I've been a big fan of. As long as I've been doing this channel, I have long touted a need for a more Eastern Japanese style aesthetic with the models, and I think RN Studio is one of the very few groups of sculptors and artists that really try to nail that. And some of their recent releases I'm going to show off in a sec, obviously, I thought really encapsulated that. So that's why I wanted to kind of ramble on. And that also gives me a good excuse to show off this stuff and have an even better excuse to go get it primed and started painting immediately. Because, yeah, I really want to. Recently, you may have seen they had, and I know I talked about it before, their... shoot, I forgot what it was called again. Ah, that's right. Neokingdoms. So RN Studio had this very elaborate, fancy get-up set of models of both men and women and kids, for that matter. They had their second Neokingdoms Kickstarter recently, separating some of the models into teams. Very different, very unique. I love it personally. That's a look that I really like for the tabletop. And one of the things I really appreciated with this newest Kickstarter was the sculpts really kind of went even further with the Japanese JRPG aesthetic. And I, for one, am all in on that. Get some of these other models out of the way for just a sec. These models, I'm sure, are going to be showing up on the usual, My Mini Factory and all that. But I thought there were a lot of interesting looking characters. A different look than we usually see with most heroes. Obviously, this is super zoomed in and in need of a little bit of cleanup here and there prior to getting things done. As I was saying, they had a couple of these kid models, which I thought was kind of different. If you're going to have your plucky teenagers saving the world, you might as well do it in style. Not all of the models are overtly voluptuous, which I thought was a nice touch. And for as interestingly dressed as they are, not all of them are, scantily clad. Although there are plenty of those, if that's something you're looking for with the RN Studio stuff. I did have to snap off a couple of little pieces that I didn't realize were part of her shirt sleeve there and thought they were leftover supports and ended up breaking. So, but yeah. Speaking of the scantily clad, RN Studio is also one of the very few companies that actually offers a lot of their stuff in more painting scale rather than gaming scale in both 54 and 75 millimeter. Pre-supported, intended, and designed at that level. So if that's something that interests you, because I know there are quite a few of you guys out there that like those larger scales, they usually have that stuff natively supported in that, so that's something to also think about. I know they were teasing another model whenever they hit their next big milestone, and I don't mind getting some more free models from them. One of the things, though, I really liked about that last Neokingdoms campaign was they had these swordsmen who just really took the overtly elaborate look to the next level. Now, this guy had a little bit of print failure on, you can see there on his left sleeve, but we'll try to get it cleaned up. It's almost bordering on like Chinese wuxia style designs, which again is something that we really, really don't see on the table, and it's a shame because some of that stuff is really cool with the very long, flowy robes and scarves and stuff, and a little bit of support leftovers there under his ear, and very fancy swords and stuff. If you're into this style of look, it's definitely something different, and if you're tired of the usual tried and true guy in plate armor or girls in chainmail bikinis, something different. I like this mage just taking the flowing robes to a new level of ridiculous. and I'm here for it. Like, if I'm going to have to play Frostgrave with a wizard, because nobody lets me just play without them, might as well do something cool, right? Something that interests me. So, just a few of the more recent models. And, you know, if you're into the pop culture references, there's been plenty of those over the time. You look familiar. And, like, this overtly voluptuous fighter with a blade with soul should look somewhat familiar. So I dig it. I dig the pop references. I dig the gaming references. I dig the undead pirates with guns in their crossguards that want you to offer their spirits to them. Oh, Cervantes. How I hated fighting you many, many times. And that's not actually what I wanted to do the video on. What I actually wanted to do the video on was this big monstrosity that you only see the lower half of, because this is a perfect High Lord Chamberlain model. Now, obviously, I know what this is based on, and if you have played any of Square Enix's games, maybe you might be familiar with it too, especially online computer-type ones. But you know, outside of even where its origins may lie, I saw this and I'm like, oh crap, that is so something I'm going to need to print. Now, obviously, I did not do the best job cleaning it off, but you know, at least with the primer, a lot of that will be cleared up. His head is a little shiny and glossy, but it's so tiny compared to his overly massive muscles. Something like this, I think, would make a great summon for all sorts of gaming purposes. My first thought was, you know, some kind of like stand type monk projection, big bed, the good old tried and true, you know, chaos prince, demon prince, rain and hell. I'm sure you can find a use for something like that. He is nicely, once he finding a base that's going to actually fit him might be a challenge. Here covered in stuff, but that's okay. That's a 100mm base. Actually, he fits pretty nice on that. Yeah, now I'm just going to need one winged angels to fight him. It's a nice size. It's not overtly large like some of the other stuff you may have seen on this channel, but it's not, you know, tiny and minuscule. I like it. It's not hollow or anything. Good, solid model. And, you know, like I said, if you're into some of the other references, and they've had quite a few different subjects that they have wanted to do homages to. This young lady in her cloth of gold, looking much like a Knight of the Zodiac. Might be familiar to some of you. There's some cool stuff in their back catalog, so we'll absolutely be putting a link down below. And you might want to take a look at their Patreon. There's always interesting stuff going on there. Always new stuff getting teased and freebies sent your way, so might be worth checking out. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Chamberlain with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.